Well, Survivor Series 2025 is in the books, and we are here to talk about the good, the bad, and the downright ugly of just a lot of WWE right now. And there may be a rant or two as well, because we got a lot to talk about today. Hey guys, welcome to the 716 Sports Entertainment Podcast, Survivor Series edition. I am your host, Mike, joined by Mr. Sean O'Neill. And Sean, how'd you like Survivor Series yesterday? What's your initial, bullet to the head reaction?
So after first reaction after sitting there watching it was, oh, this wasn't terrible. Wasn't like their best PLE ever, but wasn't terrible. But
Mhm.
after sleeping on it and thinking about it this morning, I think my reaction is more along the lines of meh. You know what I mean? Like I just it didn't really bring anything new to the table, I think. And that's part of the problem I think we need to get into, especially with as we talk about WWE as a whole at some point here. It just it's meh is the perfect description for me.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on that. Like, there was nothing wrong with the show, but there was kind of no point to
Right.
the show at all, right?
Nothing
Like,
stood out.
the only thing that had like any consequence whatsoever was John Cena dropping the IC title, which we knew was going to happen sometime in the next 3 weeks anyway, right?
Yep.
Like, so nothing, there was no consequence at all, right? I mean, I suppose we have, and we'll break down all the matches. There's a new member of the Vision. It's probably, spoiler alert, Austin Theory.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, but the women's War Games match had no consequence
We,
whatsoever. I mean, we already had feuds and programs between all of these players, and none of it got settled by what happened yesterday. And we're just going to probably continue feuds. I mean, I suppose a couple of things could go a little bit further, but it kind of was just building off of SmackDown, which, SmackDown is what I really wanted to talk about because SmackDown was an absolute effing disaster. SmackDown was one of the worst WWE shows of the entire year. I can't even get over how bad SmackDown was on Friday and just how bad it's been and how
oh yeah.
pointless it was. And like, everything that happened with it. Like, but I digress. Let's talk about Survivor Series first, then we'll talk about SmackDown, and then just kind of get an overall, where we are, where we're headed, I guess. So, the main the main Survivor Series show opened up with the women's War Games match, which consisted of Team Rhea Ripley, AJ Lee, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, and Io Sky versus Team Becky Lynch, which consisted of Becky, Nia, Lash Legend, and the Kabuki Warriors. So this match, I think, suffered from what a lot of War Games matches have a problem with, whereas you really need the faces or the heels to have the advantage. And
Yes.
it would have been completely fine if the heels had the advantage in both matches because like that's just traditional storytelling. And this match, the entirety of this match suffered from the fact that it felt like there was minimal consequence in this match because the heel or the faces always had the upper hand.
Yep.
And then like once we got to the initial, to the match actually starting, I was like, "Oh, cool. Like this is actually going to go. We're going to get some time. There's going to be some stuff, some spots and all this other stuff. There's going to be near falls and submissions and pins." 10 minutes and it was over. There's one spot where Io did the garbage can thing, which we all knew she was going to do, but then right after that, Becky escaped from it. Everybody hit their finishers on Becky, and Becky tapped out to AJ's lock move that she does. And that was it. It was super simple. It was kind of cool the way they didn't have the shark cages and they said just had people coming and doing their entrances, which kind of gives credence to the whole WWE is just all about entrances now.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I kind of feel like the reason that they didn't do that, truthfully, is probably because Brock Lesnar said this is stupid and I don't want to do it. Like
Yeah, well,
I'm betting dollar. Like, can you imagine Brock Lesnar standing in a cage like that? Brock Lesnar had to say to somebody, "This is stupid. I'm not doing it." You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, can you tell me I'm wrong there? Right?
No,
So that absolutely was the reason for it. Because I'll bet you dollars to donuts next year that if he's not in it, they go back to the cages.
you, I would have to agree with you. If anybody has the pull there to say, I'm not standing in a shark cage, it's Brock Lesnar. But
Mhm.
we'll get to the men's one in a little bit. The women's one, the setup for the match itself, like as the different women made their entrances, that part was fine, other than the fact that, like you said, the heels should have had the advantage because unless you have like Lash or Naya out there first, and you have two of the smaller women trying to fight them,
Mhm.
it's there's no disadvantage. You know what I mean? Like and when you have two faces, you're pretty much always going to have them having the advantage.
Right.
The problems for me started once the final entrant made on the heel team made their entrance with Lash Legend. And I think that her coming in and being, I don't know, I just felt like she was incredibly unsafe. Like if you go back and you watch just the move she was doing on people, like there was a point where she threw Alexa almost face first into the garbage can. Or she was smashing people into the sides of the cage, but not hit. She almost was hitting the poles instead of the mesh. Like all the different moves she was doing, it just looked incredibly dangerous. And I don't know if she needs more time in NXT, but between that and the fact that she got zero reaction coming to the ring, like it was dead silent when she went to the ring. I don't think she's going to be a player.
Well, and I feel like I don't want to fault her for that, but I feel like they were setting her up to fail there.
Yeah.
And she should not have been the last person to come out. It should have been Naya. She should have been number three or number four, like to keep
Yep.
her in the ring for a little while, right? She making her the last entrant to come out, I think, hurts her a little bit because it's kind of like, okay, we're just waiting for this wrestler we don't really know anything about to come out, like whatever, right? And then she comes out and she comes out right after Nia does, and like Nia dominates a little bit, and then like you're just gonna have another person coming out and dominating. Like you're to your point, she should have went out first.
Yeah.
Asuka should have been the last one to come out. And I
Yeah.
get it, Asuka and Charlotte are the two most polished people in the ring. But it goes back to SmackDown. We just had a match between Charlotte and Asuka on Friday for the advantage, to which Charlotte won. So like, what are we doing? Just repeating that. And that's kind of a common theme
Yep.
with WWE is just repeating things like forever. So that would have been a perfect opportunity to have Lash and Charlotte out there first, and just have them go. You could have presented this character better, have her go toe to toe with Charlotte for a little while, have her get the upper hand on Charlotte a couple of times, and it presents her better. She comes out last, she throws everybody around for a few minutes, and that was it. You basically didn't see her at all after that.
Nope.
She wasn't involved in the finish other than having to be there to help, take the brunt of Io's garbage can jump, which admittedly is a cool thing. It's a cool visual.
But we need
But
it every year.
yeah, but I mean that was it. So I don't know. I give this match honestly like a C minus. I wasn't impressed with it at all.
Yeah, I would say I'd give it like a 2.5, maybe a two. But honestly, the match itself wasn't terrible in its own right, but it was just the overall like I think the overall just presentation of the match just felt off. And honestly, I don't know if it's because they did it in the big stadium the way they did, but to me this whole show just felt like the presentation was off.
Hmm. No, I completely agree with you on that. I think the same thing. Um, I will, however, give props to the next match. And I saw some people complaining about it online, but I thought the John Cena match was excellent. I thought
Yes.
it was the best part of the show by a lot. I thought the way they delayed and delayed and delayed him coming, because they had Dominic come out first with Raquel and Roxanne, and the way they kind of like delayed and delayed and delayed and and like had all the shots of like the sun setting over the park and then Cena coming out and doing it was like it was like, one of those video packages that WWE puts together, and I feel like they did a great job with it. So I was very pleased with that. And then the overall presentation of the match too, with Dominic Dominic faking an injury on the outside, similar to what happened to Penta on Monday Night Raw, to him, getting in the ref's face, to the two ladies hitting their finishers on Cena, and Cena taking a pop rocks, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, to Cena then doing the double AA on Balor and JD McDonough, which unbelievable. Cena at his age can still do that. I mean, they're not big guys, but still, super impressive. Reminiscent back to the days where he did that to Big Show and Edge, which, I absolutely loved. And obviously the big surprise at the end was the returning Liv Morgan, who we initially all kind of bit hook, line, and sinker that she might have been turning face there. But then, reminiscent to Cena's heel turn, she proceeded to, jump onto Cena, kind of do like the leg hug thing, and then the camera panned in on her face where she was smiling, and then all of a sudden just got the dead eyes, jumped off of him, kicked him in the junk, and Dominic, picks the IC title back up, and Liv and Dominic are obviously a thing again, and it's going to be very interesting to see, hopefully that story can now kind of come off the treadmill a little bit and start moving forward because they were absolutely spinning their wheels with the Judgment Day while Liv was out. And now that she's back, I think the story can move forward for
Oh,
those
for sure.
characters.
For sure. We've been talking for like 2 months now that this was exactly what needed to happen to kickstart the end of the Judgment Day. And you're right. This match was no doubt the highlight of the night. And
Mhm.
I said going into this PLE, I didn't think 4 matches was going to be enough, and I still don't. I think that's one of the things that hurt this show too. This is supposed to be one of your biggest, albeit out of the big four, smallest of the big four, but with Royal Rumble being out of the country, WWE needed this show to be huge, and it didn't deliver on that. I will say though, Cena and everything he's bringing to the ring, especially in this his last PLE match, I'm gonna miss him. Like I greatly enjoyed this, and it just made me think about what we're gonna be losing here. You know what I mean? And they made the right call. Dom should have won, and I'll give you credit. I should have listened to that, but I think that it is the bigger story. It lets us finish up the Cena story, and it lets them move on with the Judgment Day.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna humble brag all over you guys, but I think I have pretty much an insurmountable lead over the both of you at this point. But
Nah,
we'll see how it goes. We've got a few more PLEs between now and season 2 when WrestleMania kicks off here again.
no
So,
lead is insurmountable.
but we'll see. Maybe you guys will have a chance and as a part of season 2.
Hey, we at
Um,
least all got our point, our bonus point though.
we did all predict Liv coming back. None of us got the bonus point in either one of the matches, though, because of who we picked to get pinned, and
Yeah.
that didn't happen. So, but I digress. The next match was a no-brainer, which, interestingly enough, I follow a lot of wrestling channels on YouTube, and a lot of people were picking Nikki Bella to win this, and I was just thinking to myself,
Why?
why?
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, what are you seeing that I'm not seeing that, like, you think that's a good idea? Like, in what universe is that a good idea? That buries Stephanie Vaquer. I mean, I get it. Maybe they're just looking at the tea leaves because, once we talk about SmackDown in a few minutes here, that's all WWE likes to do these days is bury its talent for no reason. Um, but with that being said, like, I think that would have been a huge mistake if Nikki had won here. And I mean, the match itself was fine. It was short. It was like 12 minutes or whatever. And, Stephanie rightfully won. She had, hit the standout for this match was when she hit the Devil's Kiss on the announce table, which was
Yeah.
pretty cool. Though Nikki was kind of like trying to no sell it a little bit, but there was no doubt in my mind Stephanie was going to win this match. And hopefully now she can move on to a proper feud, maybe with Liv or somebody.
Yeah, this was 100% just a filler match for Vicker. I think they just wanted to get her into a one-off program with a bigger name person.
Mhm.
What were they saying? Why were people picking Nikki? Like, what was that all about?
I don't know. It just
Okay,
that made
because
yeah, like I don't people were a lot of people really weren't giving good reasoning, like that it would be a shock, that it would be a surprise, that like Nikki's been doing well, and that Stephanie looks better in the chase and all this other stuff. I don't think she just won the title not that long
yeah,
ago, and like you're gonna put the belt on a part-timer. Like that's like a Vince McMahon thing to do. I don't think the
yep.
new WWE regime does that stuff anymore.
The the only way I could have seen Stephanie losing is if like she was still sick or injured.
Or if
Like,
like Brie came back or something like that.
right. And even then, I still don't think that would have been the right move because you're right. That would be 100% burying your newer talent, and
Mhm.
we shouldn't be surprised.
Well, yeah, with everything else they do these days, right? So this led us into the main event of the men's War Games match between Team Vision of Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, and Bork Lesnar against Team Roman Reigns of Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, and the Usos. So my surprise, CM Punk came out first with Braun Breaker, which was
Yeah.
super interesting. I like that because it kind of seemed to like foreshadow a future program that's very likely going to happen between those two guys, and then followed by Cody, who came out for the faces, and who was the second heel to come out?
Logan Paul.
Drew McIntyre.
Oh, yeah, then Logan Paul was
Yeah,
three.
yeah. Then Logan Paul. Yeah, then Bronson Reed, then Brock Lesnar in that order.
Yeah.
But this match just suffered a lot because, like, again, it was just kind of like waiting to get going, and there were some cool spots, in this match as well. But I was completely taken out of this match by one of the main problems I think I have with WWE right now, and that's Jey Uso. I think Jey Uso is one of the biggest issues I have with WWE right now. His presentation is ridiculous. The yeeting thing, while it's great, it engages the crowd. You don't stop in the middle of the match to do that. Like you
Yep.
completely stopped the match and he was like pole dancing on top of the friggin' cage, like in during the middle of that match. And like thank God they hit Brock Lesnar's music like while he was doing that, so he came down to the ring to kind of like put an end to that because like it completely took me out of the match when that happened. I was kind of like, this is idiotic. Like, why are we doing this? Like, you had some really cool spots, right? Like all leading up to this, and then Brock finally comes out, puts an end to that, thank God, and Brock kills everybody. And then Roman comes out. They beat each other outside of the ring area a little bit before the actual match begins. Brock puts Roman through the table with an F5, which was cool. Um, but then again, this suffered the same thing as the women's match, in my opinion, is like there were hardly any spots, right?
Yep.
Like once everybody was finally in there, the first big spot was the brass knucks getting handed by Paul Heyman to Logan Paul, who immediately after he dropped CM Punk and dropped Cody Rhodes, lost those brass knucks to Roman Reigns, who Superman punched everybody with them. And then he proceeded to spear Brock Lesnar through the table while he had Jimmy Uso in the F5 position. And that was kind of pretty much it until the very end, where I'll let you, take us through the ending sequence.
Oh, you mean when some masked individual climbed the cage, super kicked Punk, and curb stomped him, only
Mhm.
to allow Braun Breaker to hit the spear and shockingly pinned CM Punk, not the wild big Jim that was in the ring? Yeah, that was a surprise to me. And everything that you've said about the match, I 100% agree with. The disengagement of it, the big J or not big Jim, the main event Jey Uso BS. Like this is supposed to have a be a big match with huge stakes. Take this shit seriously. I'm sorry. Um, and
Well, if
then
you
the
want, yeah,
other
you
thing
want the audience to take it seriously, you need to take it seriously.
Right. And then the other thing for me is I really feel like they had a missed opportunity at the beginning when Punk was getting beat down by Drew and Braun, and Cody came out and took out both Drew and Braun and then accidentally hit Punk. I feel like there was more of an opportunity to do more with that. You know what I mean? Like there really wasn't a whole lot of dissension among either of these teams during this match. And I feel like wasn't that the whole point of this? Was that like going into this? as of last Monday, it was like, can these guys get along for this whole match? And the only point of dissension we really saw was when Cody accidentally elbowed Punk. Like, I'm sorry, what was the point of that? And then, like you previously mentioned, it's we had a little bit of trouble at first trying to figure out who it was that climbed into the ring just based off of like their movement and body shape. But based on everything I'm reading and thinking about it, the only person I can think of that matches that is Austin Theory.
Oh yeah, well, it won. All right, so it was 100% not Randy Orton or Jacob Fatu because both of those guys, A, are built way differently,
Yep.
right? Seth Rollins is built way differently, and those three people don't make sense, right? Jacob and Randy make sense if they would have hit Cody, but they
Yep.
didn't. They hit CM Punk, who they're not involved with at all, right? Then if it's Seth Rollins, he was just beaten to shit by the Vision. Like, why would he help them? If
Yep.
that was done onto Braun Breaker and the Faces got the win from that, yeah, it makes perfect sense if it's Rollins, right? But then again, if it's Rollins, yeah, because I get it. That's the swerve, right? They want everyone to be like, oh, look, he did the stomp. It's Rollins, right? But like, that would be idiotic because like, what the
Yep.
hell would have been the point of the heel turn? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, absolute idiocy. So yeah, so it's probably Austin Theory who's going to probably be revealed on Monday to be the next member of the Vision, I would assume. So, right? And then maybe they'll move that story along. And then the whole end after that, right? Where, after the heels left, Roman helps up CM Punk and uh Cody kind of like, doesn't accept Roman's hand to help him up. And Cody kind of like gets in Roman's face a little bit, and then they kind of exchange like, "Oh, I'm never gonna partner with you again." And then, CM Punk and Roman just kind of fist bump, like, "Yeah, whatever," right? Like, what was the point of any of this? What was the point of any of this?
All I can think is that Roman's going to try to go after Cody, but who the hell knows? I mean,
Who
I
cares?
don't,
Like, do we want to see that again?
only if it's a one-off thing. I don't need it to be like a 4 month feud.
I don't need another match between Roman and Cody. I
I
don't
mean,
need it.
Roman never got his rematch technically,
Yeah, I guess, but I don't need it.
but that's all I would want is one match.
That was
I
a
don't
that was a
need,
year ago. That was a
yeah,
year ago, and two different people. I mean, the title's been switched already twice since then. I don't
yeah,
need it.
yeah. I just this whole show felt like it was a lacking consequence, and just like I said, my perfect description of it is meh. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It was an okay watch, but at the end result, what do we have coming out of it? You know what I mean?
hmm And that's a perfect segue to SmackDown. And we're not going to go into all of the details of everything that happened on SmackDown. We won't talk about any of the War Game setup stuff, but just a couple of things I wanted to touch on SmackDown. We did have a match between Jey Uso and Rusev, which Jey Uso was going to be in the War Games match. So
Yep.
why does Jey Uso need to beat Rusev? What do you gain from that, right? Like, what do you gain from Rusev losing here? Rusev should have won. You very easily could have had somebody come out and cost Jey Uso here. Anybody.
Yep.
Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre. Anybody could come out and cost Jey Uso here. Because that, like, if that's your objective here, is keeping him strong, right? For the War Games match. But like, what do you just Rusev just gets here and you bury him like that? I don't like that at all. Like that pissed me off a lot, and that was just the beginning of things that pissed me off about this show. But I don't know. I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that because I have much more of a rant to continue on. But I'll let
The
you.
other problem with that match is it shouldn't have been Rusev versus Jay. It should have been Rusev versus LA Knight. But that's my only point. I don't think that it's less about this match than about the other one, which I'll talk about when we get to that one. But I think that they had the opponents set up incorrectly for these matches.
Which, yeah, well, let's just go right to the other one then. The other one where it was supposed to be Sheamus versus LA Knight, but Sheamus obviously picked up an injury, allegedly, on Monday Night Raw when he was in that triple threat match with Cena and Rey Mysterio versus the Judgment Day. And so he was just replaced by what was going to be a mystery person who turned out to be the friggin' Miz. who was already in the tournament, who lost to
Yep.
Jey Uso a couple of weeks ago. And then he just loses to LA Knight. Like, what was the point of any of that?
Yep.
Why not make it R-Truth? Why not make it Joe Hendry? Why not make it anybody else? The Miz was already in this. What was the point of that? What was the point of it at all?
Yep. It shouldn't have been the Miz. I would have 100% been okay with it being um R-Truth. It should have been somebody. They should have gone back and done like a whole, we're gonna re-roll the bin with whoever did not get selected, and we'll pick out of that. And like, why is the Miz getting a second shot? And mind you, I love the Miz, but then to give him a second shot and have LA Knight basically just bury him, like that's burial number two in one episode of SmackDown.
Yeah, and then just looking at the final bracket of this tournament, it's Jey Uso versus LA Knight. Whatever. Don't
I've seen
care.
that.
Seen it. And then Gunther versus Solo Sikoa. I mean, do we have any doubt who's going to win this whole thing now at this point? It's 100% going to be Gunther unless they decide to turn somebody heel. Either Jay or LA Knight turns heel. It's 100% going to be Gunther. But my point here is, honestly, the only person that gains anything from beating Cena, if Cena is to lose his final match, which I don't think he's going to at this point,
Nope.
is Solo Sikoa. The rest of these guys are at the end of their careers.
Yep.
Jey Uso is almost 40. LA Knight is over 40. Gunther's 38. Solo Sikoa is the youngest one of the group. So if your goal is to put over the future here, you're not doing a good job.
I wonder how much injuries played into this. You know what I mean?
I guess. Looking at the field here, honestly, the best person who could have won this would have been Carmelo Hayes or Penta. Obviously, Penta
Yep.
getting hurt does suck, but you could have pivoted and and made this Carmelo Hayes, right? Like Carmelo could have gotten the place that Miz got, because I know he'd already lost at that point, right? Before Penta took his injury. So you very easily could have replaced Miz with Carmelo Hayes, had him beat LA Knight, have him beat Jey Uso, and have a rematch with Gunther, and then have him win.
Yep. Yeah.
You
Well,
want to put
think
over
about the
somebody
push there.
young, right? Have him beat Gunther, then have him beat John Cena. Like that would be
Yeah.
awesome for him.
That's my other problem too, is why do we have two faces and two heels going against each other?
Because we want to have a face heel final, I guess, right? I mean, I don't know. But it just takes me to my bigger problem with WWE, and that's like Jey Uso is a huge problem for me. I think he's a liability at this point. Uh, ever since he won the Royal Rumble and he had that horrible lackluster build up to WrestleMania, like where it was like a 3 month build up with Gunther that just was just terrible in my opinion. And then he had the lackluster title reign, and then he just basically became a catchphrase after that. I was kind of like, I'm done with you as a character. You're not interesting to me anymore. They need to pull the trigger on him already. If they're gonna turn him heel and have him feud with Roman, like you just need to do that because otherwise he's completely uninteresting at all.
That's the only thing that's going to save Jey Uso at this point is either turning heel or going back to being just a tag team wrestler.
Or
Because
feuding with Roman. Or
yeah,
feuding with Roman.
turning heel, that's what I would include with turning
He doesn't
heel.
even need to turn
But
heel. If he just turns on Roman and has a feud with Roman, Roman
uh,
could still be a dick, and Jay could come off as a face. There's a way to present Jay
yeah,
as a face, having him go up against Roman, if that's what you want to do. If you want to keep him face, you can do that. But I
the
don't know. I
problem
think you're right.
is
The heel turn probably makes sense.
the problem is though is that Jey Uso is literally nothing but a moneymaker for them, and that's why I think we're seeing this problem of why he's being pushed everywhere is because the stupid yeet thing is so over with kids and families and that it's making them $1 billion. I'm being facetious, of course, but
No, but you're not wrong. And then, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know where we go from here, but I'd be very curious to know what our audience thinks about all of this. So, you guys let us know what your thoughts about this stuff in the comments down below. And there were a few more things as well that I kind of want to get into, not too much because I don't want to like continue to beat a dead horse here. But are we ever going to get away from Damian Priest and Aleister Black? Like, is this just going to go on forever? We've had three matches now between these guys, and the story just kind of continues at this point. Like, when is that going to end? Like, what do we need to do to have that feud end? That's like obnoxious to me as well. Like, I know it's just backstage segments, but still, it's obviously going to be another match, right? Like, what are we doing? What are we
That
doing?
that feud needs to end in a Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
They've had the perfect build up for it. They can end that, and I mean, there's certain match types that are like guaranteed feud enders, and Hell in a Cell is one of them. And you've had this feud going on now for 4 months. If ever there was a match that would be perfect to be settled definitively that way, in a Hell in a Cell, it would be Black and Priest. And
Yep.
honestly, give that to me. That's a match I could get behind because you know what? You've had this going long enough. You could tell the guys hate each other. They'll legitimately get into it. But WWE has this thing with never ending stories lately. And it's just incredibly frustrating because it's like move on to something new.
Hmm. And then I want to talk about the absolute biggest travesty of the entire weekend. And that is Chelsea Green, Jade Cargill, and the entire scene of the women's division on SmackDown. So early in the show, Chelsea Green comes out to do a celebration of her winning the U.S. championship, the women's U.S. championship. She's now the second reign with this belt. She, does her pomp and circumstance, funny nonsense, right? And it would have been a fun opportunity to maybe have Julia come out here and have Julia say, you cheated to beat me, blah, 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 blah. You could have gotten a rematch or something like that, and it would have been fine, right? No. Instead, we have Jade Cargill come out, and everyone who follows us knows our feelings on Jade Cargill on this channel. Nothing, you know, nothing to do with nothing to do with like anything here because they're both heels and just beats the crap out of her, hits her with the jaded, leaves the ring, beats up Alba Fire, and that's it. And then there's a backstage segment like half an hour later. It's basically just like everybody better get out of my way. I'm the bad bitch here. Like what? So that buries Chelsea Green, buries the US title, buries Julia, who was the previous owner of that title. Like all of these people, they're just like, yeah, you're all garbage. We don't care about any of you because we're putting Jade over. And it also kind of makes Jade look like a shit character too, as well, because the audience is already not behind Jade, and you're kind of like making it worse. Like if you're trying to do something to get people on Jade's side, you're not doing a good job of that either. So what did they gain from any of this? This was horrendous to me. You could not have like effed this up more than you did.
So I've been saying for a long time now that the problem with the women's division on SmackDown is the lack of roster on that side and star power. And right now, honestly, you could see that by them having Jade at the top of the title with the title. She is not a good wrestler. She is not a good promo person. And I hope that WWE realizes that sooner rather than later. Because, like, what kind of promo is it when you're out here saying, oh, everybody needs to watch out for me? Like, you're the title holder. Everybody's going to be coming after you. Like, you're not just going to stand there not doing anything. And then you're a heel. Why are you going and beating up a heel U.S. champion? Like, I get it. You don't want to be friends with anybody or you don't want to have an alliance with anybody. But why would you go out and make enemies for no reason? Why would you go out and just randomly beat up another title holder that has nothing to do with you? And like you said, you're right. It buries the fact that U.S. title means anything. Like you're going to come out and have her just get destroyed, and then by effect, it buries anybody who else has ever had that title.
or who's trying to get that title.
Right. Like, why would you go after that
Like you
title
make
if
that
this is
title,
how
you
it's going to
make
be
that
treated?
title look like dog shit. Like, why would I want that title? Why would anybody want this title now? You just buried this title. Like
Yep.
what are we doing? I don't get any of it. The whole thing is so stupid to me. Just like absolutely ridiculous. It's just such a shit thing to do.
Yep.
But just par for the course, I guess, for WWE. And then, I don't want to spend too much time on the main event, which was the traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series match, which had the MFTs of JC Mateo, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Talatonga, and Solo Sikoa versus the Motor City Machine Guns, Shinsuke Nakamura, Ray Phoenix, and Sami Zayn. Um, again, like I guess this, no surprise here that everybody was going to kind of just get eliminated for sort of like no reason here, right? And then the whole point, I guess, was to have the Wyatts come out at the end here and challenge down the MFTs, which I think is going to be a bigger program, which is what this should have been to begin with.
Yep. They, I mean, the positive is the right team won, but of course we had to go through the whole, oh, well, Sami Zayn has got to play hero. He's the last man standing.
And
When,
then our
uh,
audience knows how you feel about Sami Zayn.
and honestly, it shouldn't have been Sami Zayn. It should have been Ray Phoenix.
It should have been Ray Phoenix.
Ray Phoenix should have been the sole person left. Even if he then loses to Solo at the end, if he brings it down to just him and Solo, that is much better than it being Sami Zayn.
He was one of the first ones to go. Ray Phoenix was one
He,
of the first ones to get eliminated.
he was, I think, the first
Third.
on the
No,
face
it
team.
was it was Chris Sabin, then it was Tama Tonga, then it was Ray Phoenix, and then it was Shelly Sabin, um, Tama, and then Sam, and then they beat Sammy.
Okay.
Like what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah, it just
I don't get
honestly,
any of it.
to put it bluntly, SmackDown is bad. Like the you we're not even getting lucky enough to get a good episode here or there. Unless we get an episode where there's a significantly long US Open challenge and a good tag team match, right now that's the only positive coming out of SmackDown. And that includes the world title picture with Cody Rhodes.
Hmm?
It's I wouldn't say all the way unwatchable yet, but it is definitely heading down that road. And I mean, I'm still gonna at least watch it so that I we can give our reviews for it here. But it is near unenjoyable.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, I enjoy doing this podcast, but I got to tell you, like, the second it becomes a chore, which it seems like it's getting there, I'm gonna kind of want to stop because SmackDown is unwatchable. It's completely unwatchable. It is a terrible show.
Oh,
And if,
Raw is putting it to shame.
yeah, and if Raw starts to go down this path, I gotta be honest with you guys, like this podcast is gonna drastically change the things that we talk about because it will be once a week that we talk about wrestling instead of two or three times a week like we do now. Because
Yeah,
I don't like I don't even want to talk about this show anymore. It's just consistently terrible all of the time. And I feel like all we do is just shit all over this show and just get all negative about it all the time. And like I don't want this podcast to be that way for you guys.
right,
you know, I know our subscriber base is growing here and we appreciate that. But like, we don't want to come off as just negative about everything and be like everybody else on the internet all of the time. Like, we want to try and do something different here, something fresh here. And like, I feel like we're just going down the rabbit hole that everybody else online is like about wrestling these days, and it's just negative, 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 negative. But it is really hard to not be negative and to kind of be like a positive beat here because I am just not. I'm struggling to find anything negative, anything positive about this show. Like I'm really trying to be like to find positive things to talk about here, and I
this,
can't.
this particular episode, like I do my best to find the positivity usually for this channel, but this show had nothing. It didn't bring anything positive to the table. It didn't even have the usual U.S. Open for us to
to gush
give
over.
glowing
Yeah.
give glowing reviews over, or a tag like an actual tag team match. Like they're those are the like I said previously, those are the two saving graces for SmackDown for me. As long as we can get those, I will still watch SmackDown. But the second we don't get those types of good matches, it'll become a chore. And I'm sorry, I will watch just Raw at that point.
Yeah. So that's our show, guys. Thank you as always so much for joining us. Let us know what you guys think about the show in the comments down below. I think we're gonna skip our ratings this week because I think you guys kind of know where we are
No,
with those. So
mine's meh.
yeah, it's a meh out of five. So yeah, let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. We're gonna have some football stuff for you guys this week as our Buffalo Bills are heading to the Steel City to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we're gonna break down all of the NFL action probably for you guys on Monday, and we'll talk soon. So with that, have your guys self a fantastic day, a rest of your weekend, and hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving week. And take care.